so much this night. We've got about 68 folks joining in. Oh, a lot of familiar. What are your names? Love it. All right, welcome everyone. Big shout out to you, Popo. Well, thank you so much. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the State of the City event. Waiting for folks to come in. So started the music, vibe out with y'all. Welcome to the State of the City, everyone. Folks already writing chat. Nice. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to tonight's event. We definitely want to welcome everyone for being here tonight. So our People's State of the City event this year is streaming live tonight over Zoom and via Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube at MoveLB Forward! So special shout outs to our interpreters in Spanish, Abigail and Ryan, and in Khmer, Bo and Vesna. So if you're interested in Khmer or Spanish translation, be sure to click the globe icon translation button on the Zoom and choose the language you want. If you're choosing English, please select English and mute the original audio to stay in the English language section. Jose Beltran from Long Beach Forward will be available for any interpretation troubleshooting. So if y'all have any questions, feel free to connect with Jose on the chat. So now I would like to invite our translators to introduce themselves tonight. So we'll have our Spanish translator go first, and then our Khmer translation right after.
Hi, everyone. Thank you and welcome. Our Spanish team is going to be myself, Abigail, and Ryan, and we're going to give the instructions in Spanish. Hola, buenas noches. Vamos a ser sus intérpretes, Abigail y Ryan. Si quieren tener acceso a la función de interpretación a través de una computadora, van a acudir a la parte de baja de su pantalla cuando se prenda la función y aparecerá un mundo. Por favor, seleccionen el mundo y de ahí seleccionen su idioma de preferencia, al igual que también silenciar el audio original o en inglés, mute original audio. Si están conectados vía un dispositivo inteligente o a través de un celular inteligente, tienen que ir a la opción de los 3 puntitos donde dice más y seleccionar interpretación al idioma y de ahí español y silenciar el audio original. Gracias. I hand it over now to Bo.
បាទបងប្អូនខ្មែរសូមជម្រាបសួរខ្ញុំបាទឈ្មោះបូអ៊ុចសហការីអ្នកបកប្រែខ្ញុំឈ្មោះវាសនាលុកបងប្អូនខ្មែរណាចង់ស្ដាប់ការបកប្រែជាភាសាខ្មែរណាបងប្អូនសូមមេត្តាចុចគេហៅថា globe ផែនទីតូចហ្នឹងទៅពេលយើងចុចហើយយើងនឹងឃើញ interpretation បងប្អូនសូមមេត្តាចុចអាហ្នឹងហើយជ្រើសរើសភាសាខ្មែរបងប្អូនឃើញហើយបងប្អូននឹងចុច mute original audio មានន័យថាបិទសំឡេងដើមណាបងប្អូនណាចុចអាហ្នឹងទៅហើយយើងអាចស្ដាប់ភាសាខ្មែរបានហើយអានេះបើយើងមានតាម computer បើសិនតាមទូរស័ព្ទដៃវិញសូមបងប្អូនមេត្តាចុចអា dot 3ហ្នឹងហើយយើងចុចជា language interpretation ជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសទៅពេលហ្នឹងហើយយើងជ្រើសរើសភាសាមួយណាយើងចង់ស្ដាប់គេមានភាសាខ្មែរយើងនៅក្រោមមកបងប្អូនណាឃើញទេខ្មែរអង់គ្លេស Spanish ហើយនិងខ្មែរអញ្ចឹងបងប្អូនសូមមេត្តាចង់ស្ដាប់ភាសាខ្មែរសូមមេត្តាជ្រើសរើសវិធីរបៀបចឹងចោះសូមមេត្តាអរគុណបងប្អូន Thank you.
Thank you, Abigail, and thank you, Bo, for the translation support. So we know that we are also streaming on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube Live. So y'all already know how that works. Feel free to comment on the comment box if you have any questions, and our team will do the best to help address it. So all right, let's get started. So welcome, y'all. This is our 11th annual People State of the City Long Beach event. And yep, y'all heard that right. So it is 11 years. So thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Amy Horn. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the field organizer with Khmer Girls in Action. I'm thrilled to be your MC for tonight's event. So real quick, for some tonight's community agreement, we do ask for community members that are joining us tonight in this event to be kind when we're on the chat box when you type, and also remember to practice self-care when you need it. So yeah, so let's get started. Now y'all got everything you need to know. So let's go into our grounding piece and our event. So
Amy, can I pause you 1 second?
Yes.
I'm sorry, we're having one quick technical difficulty that we're working to fix. And we know the interpretation is not on. So hold on 1 second, folks.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And we have our Spanish translator to also share that.
Ya, un momentito. Estamos trabajando en unas dificultades técnicas. Estamos tratando de aprender la interpretación. Un momentito, por favor. Boy, could you just let my speakers know as well that we're waiting for interpretation to be turned on?
បាទសូមបងប្អូនមេត្តារងចាំបន្តិចដើម្បីឲ្យគេមានឧបករណ៍បកប្រែទៅគេចុចហើយខ្ញុំនឹងហើយវាសនានឹងបកប្រែជូនណាបងប្អូនណាសូមអរគុណមានបញ្ហាបច្ចេកទេសបន្តិចតួច
Right. How y'all feeling? Just put in the chat, where are y'all coming from or calling from? What district? What community? Where are all y'all coming from? Even what school?
Mientras esperamos, también se pueden colocar dentro del chat de dónde vienen, de qué distrito, de qué escuela, etcétera.
សូមបងប្អូនមេត្តាណែនាំខ្លួនយើងមកពីណាយើងធ្វើអីខ្លះសូមបងប្អូនមេត្តាទៅសេនៅក្នុង chat box គេហៅថាបន្ទប់ជជែកហ្នឹងបងប្អូនណាហើយណែនាំខ្លួនអរគុណ
Thank you so much. Okay, so I see District 9 in the house. I see District 1. Cal State Long Beach. Oh, I see you, Carrie, District 6, represent Cambodia Town.
Interpretation is now on.
Perfect. All right, y'all ready? Okay, sounds good, y'all. So thank you so much for helping troubleshoot that. So we definitely know that, sorry about that. We definitely know that it's been a really hard year this year, a public health crisis that enveloped the vast inequalities in our society, and we are still witnessing the social and economics impact today. We continue to see how it has disproportionately impacted communities of color, from the lives that were lost, the rising profits of corporations at the expense of essential workers, the academic neglect that BIPOC students face by not having the support and resources they need to succeed. And how about housing, right? The housing crisis and eviction that many Long Beach renters are facing today. In fact, did y'all know that Long Beach has now surpassed San Francisco as the 5th most unaffordable city for homeowners and is facing a growing unaffordable housing crisis? That's horrible, right? So it's clear that the road to recovery is long, and we continue to fight together for policies that ensure strong, equitable recovery for all. Today is going to be a night of storytelling. You'll have an opportunity to hear about folks' stories and meet other speakers as well. So I definitely want to also acknowledge the victories and the celebration for tonight, and acknowledge the community organizations in Long Beach Coalition that has made tonight's event possible. So let's give a shout out to the California Faculty Association Long Beach chapter. Woo! Let's give a shout out for Khmer Girls in Action. Yes. Long Beach Forward. And then Long Beach Resident Empowered. Long Beach Coalition. Long Beach Gray Panthers. And Los Angeles Alliance for New Economy. Awesome. Cool. So now up first, I invite Melissa Morgan to lead us tonight for tonight's grounding.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just want to take a moment to check and offer if folks who are on our Zoom have been able to get their language by clicking the globe icon on the bottom of the Zoom screen, selecting your language, and then mute original audio. See if that works for you. And if we have anyone who can share that in Spanish or Khmer right now that's not on a translation channel, could you do so? Excellent. Do we have any Spanish contribution to remind folks about how to select translation? Perhaps Jose can share.
Diana, can you make Jose a co-host?
Thanks everyone on social media for bearing with us. We have about 125 folks on our Zoom and just want to be as inclusive as possible by offering language translation. So just one moment and we'll continue on with our land acknowledgement.
Gracias, Melissa. Aquí estoy yo para darles saber que si se acaban de integrar a la reunión, deben de seleccionar el idioma preferido. Para los que hablan español, por favor, escojan el icono de globo. Y también seleccionen Mute Original Audio. Gracias.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, everyone. Hello, I'm Melissa Morgan with Long Beach Forward and would like to move us into our special land acknowledgement. There's a lot to acknowledge here in these days and times. So thank you, Amy, for opening for us. Native communities remain at the forefront of movements to protect Mother Earth and our lives. It is important that we raise awareness about Indigenous histories that are often suppressed or forgotten. So I'd like to invite Stephanie Mushrush from the Change the Name Coalition to lead us in land acknowledgement. Stephanie?
Thank you so much. Hangamaheji, Stephanie Digomdiak Kalei. Hello, how are you? My name is Stephanie Mushrush. I'm an enrolled member of the Washoe Tribe of Nevada in California, and I'm also Filipina. I am part of the Long Beach Change the Name Coalition, and I'm honored to open in this way. The People's State of the City, Long Beach, acknowledges our presence on the traditional territory of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples and all their bands, clans, and relatives. We acknowledge the Tongva as the traditional caretakers of Long Beach and are grateful for the opportunity to work for the Indigenous peoples in this place. We pay our respects to their ancestors and their elders. However, we also know land acknowledgement alone is not enough. It is merely a starting point. I challenge you to ask yourself, how can I take action to support Indigenous communities? Growing up, we were all taught Christopher Columbus discovered America, George Washington could never tell a lie, and about Honest Abe. We were all indoctrinated to pledge allegiance to the American flag every morning. All these things uphold and glorify the white settler colonial narrative and perpetuate untruths. I'd like to share with you an opportunity to take action with our Change the Name, Ditch the Penny campaign to shift the narrative and right some wrongs of the Long Beach City Council. The issue at hand is the reopening of a downtown Long Beach park on Broadway and Pacific with the Lincoln name, touting a new 13-foot penny. This is a step backwards for Long Beach, which includes our Native community. Despite his reputation of freeing African-American enslaved people, the majority of Lincoln's policies and actions towards Natives were genocidal. Lincoln was responsible for the largest mass execution in US history. In December 1862, 38 Dakota men were hanged under his order. He also oversaw the Sand Creek Massacre of mostly women and children and the Long Walk of the Navajo. These things are still not taught in schools today. Honoring Native people beyond symbolic statements requires that the city of Long Beach tell the truth and atrocities of history and take tangible action to call out the minimizing of genocide and romanticizing of manifest destiny. Support our campaign to change the name and ditch the penny, to rename it to Toi Purina Park, in honor of and in consultation with the Tongva people. We must continue to change the narrative. Some of our community victories include the abolishment of Columbus Day and placement of Indigenous Peoples Day in this city, as well as others across the country, the removal of Prospector Pete mascot at Cal State Long Beach, Governor Gavin Newsom's formal apology to California Native people, and the establishment of the California Truth and Healing Commission. We are hoping to witness more victories, and our call to action to you is that you support us to change the name to Toi Purina Park and ditch the penny. Sign and share our petition, follow our Instagram and our Linktree for updates and actions, and write Councilwoman Mary Zendejas to let her know you support this campaign. Thank you so much for your time. Salamat tinga.
While we wait for Amy to join us, I want to remind everyone on Zoom, even if you speak English, you will need to select mute original audio so that we can hear you when you're speaking as well. So apologize again if folks weren't able to hear folks. You have to be sure that everyone chooses to mute original audio. And Amy, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much. I think we definitely are having some tech issues, but it's going well. It's going okay. But thank you so much, Stephanie Mushrush from Change the Name Coalition. definitely a great opportunity for folks to get involved and make sure that we're supporting the community by signing those petitions, right?
Amy, can you please mute your original audio so we can hear you as well?
Okay, hold on one second. Okay, how is that now? Can y'all hear me? Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. Awesome. So we also acknowledge another integral segment of our social justice community, artists. Art has the power to transcend language, age, identity, and politics. Jose Loza is an illustrator, public artist, community advocate, and art educator. Jose Community Workshops deals with depicting personal narratives in relation to our environment. So these illustrations are representatives of how we are interconnected as a community to one another. Each plant, flower represents an individual issue. Stay tuned for the end of our program where you will see how these individual issues are brought together for their placement in a communal space. So yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jose, for offering or for sharing with us your beautiful art. So definitely want to go into our next speaker and acknowledge that, recovery from the global pandemic, our seniors continue to experience the social, economic, and emotional impact. Housing being one of the biggest needs we are seeing amongst our senior community. I would like to invite Karen Reside, president of the Long Beach Gray Panthers, to share their own story and how they continue to advocate for safe and affordable housing for seniors so that all could live and age with dignity. So let's give it up for Karen.
It's time for us to raise our voices to show that we are not only relevant, but also have wisdom and creativity to share, regardless of the color of our hair. We need to change the language that stereotypes older adults. We need to fight the segregation that keeps us out of sight and makes us the other and a segment of the community that can be ignored and isolated when it comes time for the budget in the city. Language, particularly adjectives, colors our perceptions of gender, race, and now age. Abuse robs seniors of their ability to have a safe, secure home. The National Center on Elder Abuse states that studies have found that at least 1 in 10 community dwelling older adults experiences some form of abuse in the prior year. The lack of statistics and data indicates the lack of attention in this area and highlights the need for more work to be done. As a result, we have yet to discover the true impacts on our Long Beach community. When an elder is abused, there are often several obstacles to obtaining help. In almost 60% of elder abuse and neglect incidents, the perpetrator is a family member. Most cases are never reported. Fears of retaliation, embarrassment, or lack of knowledge about where to seek help keeps elders from reporting cases. When talking about domestic abuse, there are many sanctuaries where a victim can seek safety and support within their community. For the elderly, the majority of whom live independently in the communities where most senior abuse occurs, there is no sanctuary. In fact, there is only one single sanctuary west of the Mississippi. It is located in Sacramento and has a maximum capacity for 7 residents. This single facility is not enough space for seniors in our community to obtain the support they need to escape the cycle of abuse. As a component of the city's housing plan, we must also begin to examine the need for a Long Beach senior safe house, a refuge where our older residents can talk to someone about their situation and begin to take the steps to achieve a safe, healthy living environment. You can sign up on our website to stay informed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Now I invite, yes. Now I would like to invite Mayra Garcia a member of the Long Beach Resident Empower, also known as Libre, to share how they are advancing justice and fighting for renters' protection and affordable housing, and how communities continue to struggle and survive to fight evictions and stay housed. So let's give it up for Myra, y'all.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Mayra García, soy un líder con Libre. Soy madre divorciada con un hijo con necesidades especiales. ¿Sabían que el 61% de los residentes de Long Beach son inquilinos como yo? La renta sigue aumentando y muchas familias están agobiados por los costosos tratos de la vivienda, forzados a buscar alojamiento a otra ciudad. Me involucré en la lucha de los derechos de los inquilinos después de recibir un aviso de desalojo ilegal hace 2 años. Nuestros edificios estaban infestados de ratas y cucarachas y el propietario nos ignoraba. No fue hasta que llamé a la ciudad y ellos encontraron 14 violaciones, finalmente solucionaron el problema, aunque el propietario trató de resistir las multas que la ciudad le impuso porque se sentía muy seguro con su equipo de abogados. En menos de una semana recibimos un aviso de desalojo. No sabíamos cuáles eran nuestros derechos como inquilinos y como uno como latino a veces tiene miedo de pedir ayuda y acercarse a los grupos comunitarios y preferimos renunciar a nuestro hogar y no meternos en problemas. Tenía mucho miedo, pero busqué ayuda y fue cuando me contactaron con Libre. Fue un proceso difícil, pero no me sentí sola y juntos pudimos anular el desalojo. Nadie debería de ser castigado por querer vivir en un hogar más seguro. Es por eso que sigo compartiendo mi historia y animo a otros a no tener miedo. Yo encontré en la fuerza y nunca estuve sola en mi lucha, pero eso no es siempre para todos. Los invito a escuchar la historia de Rosa, una inquilina de nuestra comunidad que también enfrentó el desalojo.
My name is Rosa Holmes. I was born and raised in Los Angeles way back in the day. Raised 5 kids, 2 of them were my stepchildren. I live in Signal Hill. The main reason why I moved in the first place is because some owners had bought the building that I was living in over on Harbor Avenue. They told all of the tenants that they're going to be doing some remodeling and that we had to move. I wasn't behind in my rent or anything. I was paying $1,500 a month, which was very comfortable for me. I didn't know it was an eviction. That's really what it was. In my mind, how could I be evicted when I'm current on my rent? How could anybody evict me? Something's wrong with that. I was really confused, didn't know what to do, where to go, who to talk to. And I ended up moving to Signal Hill because I was desperate and I didn't want to bother my children. I didn't want them to know exactly what all I was going through, so I kept a smiling face. But I was doing everything by myself. And I didn't know if I was doing the right thing or the wrong thing. I just didn't know. I didn't know how to fight this. What do you do when you don't know how to fight something that's above your mindset? You just don't know. I don't know how to fight these people. She said, I gotta go. And I said, I've been taking care of people all of my life, Lord. What in the heck is going on here? It felt like the floor had fell out from under me. I would not wish that on anybody, especially somebody that has gone through life and tried to do the right thing and tried to live by the rules. So now I'm here paying $3,200 a month. So now I'm behind with the rent. And mostly I got a bigger place because I wanted to continue doing foster care and I wanted to continue taking care of other people and being able to serve people.
Hey, Myra, I believe you're on mute.
¿Listo? Gracias, Rosa, por compartir su historia con nosotros. Estamos aquí para apoyarte. Libre, el Sindicato de Inquilinos de Long Beach y la Coalición de Justicia de Vivienda se han organizado durante la pandemia para pasar moratorias de desalojo y pólizas para proteger a los inquilinos. En 2020 ganamos una nueva ordenanza para hacer ilegal que los propietarios intimiden a los inquilinos. En febrero ganamos otra nueva ordenanza para que sea más difícil y costoso para los propietarios en desalojar a los inquilinos por remodelaciones sustanciales. Si usted recibe un aviso de desalojo o está retrasado en los pagos de renta, usted todavía tiene derecho. Los invito a seguir a Libre en línea y redes sociales para obtener recursos sobre sus derechos como inquilinos. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayra and Rosa, for telling your story. Super important, right? So housing is a human right. In addition to tenants' right and eviction protection, housing justice also means affordable, equitable development without gentrification and displacement. So here's Elsa May Tung from Long Beach Forward to share a little bit about the history of race and place in Long Beach and an important new opportunity for communities to get involved in shaping their neighborhoods called Zone In City Core. So let's give it up for Elsa.
Hey folks. So have you ever wondered why a certain neighborhood on the other side of town doesn't look like or feel like your own neighborhood? Have you ever walked through a certain neighborhood and felt uneasy, uncomfortable, like you don't belong? These thoughts and feelings are no accident, and it's not you. Long Beach, like all cities across California and the United States, has been explicitly segregated by race and class over the past 250 years, first by colonization, and then since the 20th century, by governmental policies and financial practices called racially restrictive covenants and redlining. Combined, these policies implemented by the federal government and private banks created exclusive white-only neighborhoods in East Long Beach, Bixby Knolls, and the city of Lakewood, and then drew red and yellow lines around Black, Indigenous, and people of color neighborhoods in Central, West, and North Long Beach, thus denying home loans to families, denying the opportunity to generate wealth, and denying resources to whole communities. Although these policies were officially outlawed in 1968, their legacies live on today through the persistent concentration of poverty, people of color, and disinvestment. These same neighborhoods that have faced a systemic lack of resources for decades, like Eastside, also known as Cambodia Town, are now at risk for gentrification. In other words, the profit-driven reshaping of working class communities of color to cater to higher income, mostly white, residents and businesses willing to pay higher rents. Check out this story of the people of color-owned small businesses on Anaheim and Atlantic, which faced sudden demolition and displacement in late 2018. This clip is from the short film Cambodia Town Not for Sale by Brandon Soon.
Thank you so much for coming to attend. So we were not told anything. Like we were not told anything. Like, all we got was a notice that there was a city planning committee. And that's how we even knew that our businesses were going to get demolished. They didn't speak to us. Well, they promised to speak to us for the past month. They keep saying, oh, we'll talk to you guys, we'll talk to you guys. We have not heard a word from them. We keep reaching out to them. They do not speak to us at all. Community are things that are both everywhere and nowhere, kind of, in the sense that they kind of exist in the spaces around us. Like, you know, as a kid, if you come here every single day, you don't even think about it, it just becomes a part of your daily life. But that's how, you know, your culture gets imprinted onto you, and that's how you learn to appreciate it, and that's how you pass it on. And especially here in Long Beach, where they take so much pride in being the largest population of Cambodians outside of Cambodia, you know, it's super important that with that reputation, we protect this.
Yes, it's super important that we protect this. It's going to take many steps and many organized people to protect our communities of color and to promote healthy, affordable development without displacement. We've got one such opportunity right in front of us. The City of Long Beach is partnering with community organizations, City Fabric, United Cambodian Community, Long Beach Forward, and Walk Long Beach to engage communities for the Zone In City Core project, which is a process to update the zoning, in other words, the rules for what kinds of development go where, for a huge area of central Long Beach, from 10th to PCH, and Magnolia to Eximino. Zoning, again, the rules for development, has played a significant role in perpetuating structural racism and health inequities in the city, and thus presents a significant opportunity to begin to dismantle these inequities. Although the zone-in process alone will not solve racism nor the housing crisis, through this process, we can regulate development to encourage developments that benefit the community, like affordable housing, and discourage developments that harm the community, like liquor stores. So check out the city's webpage, longbeach.gov/LBDS/ACZIP, to fill out the community survey and find out more about upcoming community events. Thank you.
All right, that was super powerful. Thank you so much, Elsa. And shout out to Brandon for that amazing documentary or documentation that he put together as well. So those are great opportunities for our communities to get involved, especially during these challenging times. The spread of COVID-19 created massive disruption in the US economy. As the crisis unfolded, essential workers were at the forefront of it all. Community health workers have been on the ground ensuring that those who are most affected in the communities are getting vaccinated and have access to the resources in order to keep them safe and increase the overall public health crisis. Tonight, we want to acknowledge the stories of the unsung heroes who were amongst the hardest hit during this public health crisis, and also celebrate all of the victories. So, first one, shout out to the port drivers and community allies for helping pass two important bills in Sacramento, AB 794, supported by Assembly Member Wendy Guerrero, and SB 338, supported by Senator Lina Gonzalez, which will keep trucking companies accountable and ensure that port drivers have rights. Also, misclassified truck drivers at XPO recently won nearly $30 million judgment against XPO for misclassifying them and stealing their wages for years. So this is a huge victory, y'all. So give it up to them. And another one, Long Beach became the first city in the nation to make right to recall and retention permanent for hospitality and janitorial workers. This is a huge victory for the national labor movement and the people of Long Beach. We thank the leadership of Vice Mayor Rex Richardson, council members, Mary Sendejas and Cindy Allen for championing these policies and ensuring that there is an equitable COVID-19 recovery for all. And last, our very own local Long Beach and Lakewood Starbucks workers filed for a union election and have begun their election process this very week. Workers' vote will be counted on Friday, May 13th. So history is being created as we speak, y'all. And if the power of collective prevails, we will have 2 Starbucks in Southern California to unionize. Their fights are super inspiring. So it takes all of us together and fighting for change in order to win. Now, I would like to invite Deanna Knowles to share her story as a front of the line grocery worker. So let's give it up for Deanna Knowles, y'all.
All right. Good evening, community. My name is Deanna Knowles. I'm a Long Beach resident. I'm one of many frontline workers that help sustain our community through a global pandemic. I work as a cashier at Ralph's in Long Beach. I've been a grocery worker for 16 years and a proud member of UFCW Local 324. It has been 2 years since the world turned upside down. I recall that moment as a sudden earthquake, a big shakeup. The world has stopped. I asked myself, where did everyone go? Our workers, grocery workers, is often not seen as valuable, and when the crisis hit us, the situation felt unreal. The stores were crowded with people, and the uncertainty of it all didn't bring out the best in people. As a frontline worker, we face verbal abuse from customers who refuse to comply with the new COVID-19 restrictions. It was difficult to get customers to abide by the rules and respect my position. It felt as if we were not being seen, even though we were risking our lives to keep our communities fed during the public health crisis. I felt worried about the virus, drained from the pressure of customers, and saddened for not being able to see my 80-year-old grandmother to ensure that I kept her safe and healthy. The impact this had on my mental health was difficult to deal with, and I'm sure many of us here tonight can relate. The working conditions were also difficult. While other industries shut down or many others got to work from home, Ralph's continued to increase our workload while simultaneously understaffing the store. Our wages remain low, while the rates of housing, food, and job insecurity for many of us increased. In 2001, through the leadership of council members Mary Sendejas, Cindy Allen, Robert Uranga, and Rex Richardson, along with our mayor, Robert Garcia, the Long Beach City Council voted unanimously to approve hazard pay, an ordinance that would require grocery workers to provide their employees with an extra 4-hour increase for the risk while working during the pandemic. Do you all remember what Ralph's did? They immediately sued the city and tried to stop other cities from passing hazard pay by retaliating against us and closing 2 stores in Long Beach after the city required the company to fairly comply. The company also immediately sued the city to stop hazard pay. This was a huge injustice. The corporation profited $4 billion in 2021, while more than 2/3 of their workers struggled to survive due to low wages and unstable part-time schedules. However, a lesson learned from this global crisis is the resilience I witnessed in our communities and the collective power we have built as frontline workers. This year, we did fight back. UFCW members entered into contract negotiation with Ralph's, Albertsons, Vons, and Pavilions. But this time around, we knew we were stronger together. These companies profited off the backs of our labor as essential workers, so we stood our ground and refused to take anything less than what we deserve. We are like the unsung heroes. We have dignity and we are valuable. This city we call home, the communities we cherish, they are fed and sustained by our labor of love. This was more than just another contract campaign. Through this fight, we showed what can be accomplished with the power of worker involvement and community support. I'm so proud to announce that we achieved a historic contract that sets the standard for the grocery industry nationwide. This win feels amazing, but it was accomplished because everyone came together. We were our support system, either group chat meet, through group chats, reminding each other to just hang in there, keep going, keep your head up. We came together as a unit, knowing we are union strong. This win could have not been possible without the strong support of our community members, labor allies, and elected officials. So I thank you for standing with us in our fight, for listening to our stories, amplifying our struggle. It was an honor to stand shoulder to shoulder on the picket lines and rallies during delegations and so forth. We chanted together, we fought together, and won a life-changing agreement with the greatest wages increase we have ever seen. Lastly, while we celebrate this historic moment, let's remember that the struggle will continue. The end goal is to continue building a strong labor organization by developing members into relentless leaders. This historic moment is just a taste of what strong union organizing, worker involvement, coalition building, and community support can do to drive us to win and build a stronger labor movement. Si se puede, and I thank you for having me tonight.
All right, y'all, let's give it up for Diona. Thank you so much for all that hard work. Our communities are organizing, y'all. So real quick, definitely want to ask folks that needs to move, that even if you are in language, like we want you all to change your global icon to English and then unmute yourself as well. And that goes for all of our speakers as well too. Cool, all right, so definitely, again, thank you so much for all the hard work. So another important story that we want to highlight tonight is of our caregivers who risked their lives and worked tirelessly to care for the most vulnerable amongst us. So I would like to invite Sergio Sepulveda, a certified nursing assistant, CNA worker, to share his story. So let's give it up for Sergio, y'all.
Hello.
Yes, thank you, Sergio.
Well, good evening. My name is Sergio Valcava, and I am a CNA certified nursing assistant worker and proud member of SEIU Local 2015. I work in the acute care unit as a CNA at Country Villa, Belmont Heights for the past year. This particular skilled nursing is owned by Brias, which he has acquired 81 facilities around California, about 40 of them in LA County. When we think about nursing homes, we often don't think about corporate greed, but with ownership like that of Brias Healthcare, we have found that 76% of all SNFs are owned by chains. I became a CNA worker because of my own family struggles. My mom was diagnosed with cancer when I was just 15 years old, and my brother recently experienced a gunshot wound. So I wanted to learn how to properly care for them. I have now had my license for about 11 years, and I've had to balance working under extreme pressure and caring for my loved ones and the stress of a CNA worker. When the pandemic hit us unexpectedly, it revealed how vital long-term caregivers are for our elderly and disabled. I work in one of the hardest units with patients in intensive care. I care for 11 patients that require 100%. Many of them are bedridden or on ventilators. My role requires assisting our patients with daily activities such as bathing, getting out of bed, getting back to bed, dressing, using the toilet, cleaning up any of their messes. Patients often soil themselves in order to keep themselves comfortable for their overall health, which we try to clean up and change them as soon as possible and often as possible. Unfortunately, because of the caseload, I am unable to provide patients with the quality of care that I believe they deserve. Most of the time, I am only given about 10 to 15 minutes to finish a patient because we are so understaffed. The emotional and physical labor that we experience as a result of understaffed and the lack of resources is a major issue that became even more evident when the pandemic hit. During this crisis, we had had a lot about hospital nurses being recognized as heroes, but nobody paid attention to nursing facilities and the impact we had. We are underpaid, understaffed, and under-resourced. Caregiving is one of the most essential and one of the most devalued professions. We are, along with other workers, the essential workers who face the worst of the pandemic, putting ourselves and families in danger while being among the lowest paid workers in the state. We also cannot ignore the persistent racial and gender inequities that we see in the industry. Close to 90% of CNA workers are people of color, mostly Black and brown, often immigrant women. We have risked our lives every day to care for the most vulnerable among us. Fixing a nursing home means working towards more equity society that fairly values the lives and labor of women and colored people. The quality of care at our facilities is closely tied to working conditions. In order to improve the care of our patients, we need to address the issues of wages, staffing, and resources. For this reason, nursing home workers like myself, we are demanding a livable wage. Together with the support of 40 organizations across LA County who make up the Quality Care Coalition, we are fighting to raise standards in the skilled nursing facility sector by improving working conditions for workers and overall the quality care for nursing home residents. Join us as we demand a livable wage. Sign our petition today and join the movement to create a base wage of $20 an hour for nursing home workers like myself. Stand with long-term care workers as we raise our voices and say it's time for 20.
All right.
And that basically concludes.
Thank you so much, Sergio. Thank you for all that you do, and also all of our front of the line workers, folks in healthcare, right? It's definitely really tough. So we want to make sure that we're continuing to organize and support our community by mobilizing, right? So yeah, so I definitely want to also acknowledge that. So now we are pretty much, you know, I want to check in with the crew. I want to check in with how y'all are doing. So how's everybody doing tonight? If I want you all to also think about the first word you think of, or maybe the first emoji you think of when I say people power. So what does people power mean to you? So if you can, folks, write on the chat the first word that comes in mind, or the first emoji that pops up for you when you think of people power. All right, so I see fists. Okay, there you go. Love your neighbors, justice, community, right? We want to find ways that we can all be there for each other, and definitely keep those words coming in. So this is why we're here tonight. This is why we're being in community, right? So I hope you are definitely feeling good and feeling like you're in community right now. So cool. So now I would like to invite our next speaker, Jamilet Ochoa from Long Beach Immigrant Rights Coalition, and Melissa Morgan from Long Beach Forward, and the Black Lives Matter Long Beach member, both of whom are a part of the People's Budget Coalition, to talk to y'all about how systemic divestment from communities of color continues to increase city funding violence against our most marginalized community, and what we can do to reinvest in life-affirming resources for immigrant, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So let's give it up for our next speakers, y'all.
Thank you, everybody, and good evening. I am so happy to see a room full of so many amazing people, powerful people, and really looking at the chat and feeling that kind of empowerment. I first wanted to start off by sharing a story of how we met a very beloved community member. His name is Sidi, and we met him in 2021. Sidi was born in a Cambodian refugee camp, but grew up in this country. As a youth, Sidi had to grapple with feelings of fear, abandonment, humiliation, anger, and trauma. In search of support and a sense of belonging, he joined a gang at the age of 13. It was during his teenage years that Sidi was involved in a gang conflict. Because of his involvement, he was harshly sentenced to 2 life sentences and faced a minimum of 40 years in prison. While in pardon, Sidi committed himself into serving others. He became an ordained minister, a peer mentor, and part of a church community. Because of Sidi's commitment to serving his peers and community involvement inside the prison, his sentence was reduced to 15 years to life, which made him eligible for parole. Sidi was granted parole. However, instead of being released to reunite with his loved ones, Sidi was transferred to Mesa Verde ICE processing facility. This would officially mark the beginning of his deportation process. Sidi has already served 15 years of his life in a prison, and now he faces a second punishment, deportation. We urge everyone to join our efforts and push back against this cruel double punishment. Deportations are a different kind of life sentence, one that separates families and communities. And Sidi is not the only one who faces this injustice. Governor Newsom can stand with non-citizens Californians and prevent this double punishment by using his power to grant pardons to save cities, family, and many others from the trauma of family separation. True justice doesn't just stop halfway or leave people behind because of their birthplace. We need pardons to heal, restore, and move forward. City is an example of why LBIRC is working to end the double punishment of immigrants in California. Our neighbors, mothers, and chosen family deserve a life with dignity and love. We work alongside communities to create that are thriving, safe, healthy, and free from oppression. We work towards dismantling and abolishing systems, institutions, and borders that dehumanize and profit from immigrants and other impacted communities. As we work to dismantle oppressive systems, we also want to re-envision how our communities can thrive and live in a city that prioritizes and invests in people's well-being. This means advocating for a city budget that reflects the priorities of the community. The People's Budget is working towards defunding the Long Beach Police Department and calling an end to surveillance technologies like facial recognition, automatic license plate readers, and more that ultimately feed into the Long Beach Police Department patterns of systemic violence, targeting, surveilling low-income communities of color, criminalizing youth and poverty, and separating families. Did you know that the vast majority of the $135 million of the city received from the Federal American Rescue Plan Act has been spent on cops? Can you believe that? I want to see the boos on the chat. This is unacceptable. I invite my colleague Melissa Morgan from Long Beach Forward and the People's Budget Coalition to share more on how the city must honor its own recognition that racism is a public health crisis.
I want to say Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. So, hey, y'all. Thanks, Jamalet. I'm Melissa. I'm a member of BLM. I work with Long Beach Forward, and I'm part of the People's Budget Coalition. The People's Budget's working towards the defunding of the Long Beach Police Department. We want to end their pattern of systemic violence. They target low-income communities of color. We know this. And activists and organizers like you. They criminalize youth. They criminalize poverty. They separate families. And they murder people with Black skin like mine. Honoring that it's been recognized here in this city that racism is a public health crisis in addition to COVID and all that intersectionality, we must allocate funds and direct additional resources to community-led priorities that create health, opportunity, community, and justice. So we say Black lives, they matter here. We want you to reinvest in Black lives. We want the city to reinvest in Black lives, our community, to reinvest in communities of color and marginalized communities. People may ask, how do we defund the police? How does that work? It's confusing to some folks, but honestly, it just takes a little ounce of creativity and thinking outside of the box. We can do it through the People's Budget. We can divest, pull funding from what doesn't work, that racist, violent, murderous policing, and then reinvest, invest that funding in what does work. That's what the People's Budget Long Beach campaign is asking for, because it's people like you who are asking for real change, proactive, preventative change. Our city's budget, we know, it is a moral document. It reflects our city's values and priorities. And you can see where their values and priorities are by where they put the money, those decision makers, the mayor, city manager Tom Modica, the chief of police, all of those folks, every council member. By adopting the People's Budget, it's more than just a shift in the way that the city does business. It is a pathway to ending anti-Blackness, to ending structural racism in the city. All of that work and history that folks have done with the redlining and orange lining, like Elsa shared earlier, supporting the People's Budget, a budget that's for the people, will undo historical disinvestment that has continued for generations. What we need from you, we need you all today to sign city's petition, to change.org petition. We've put it in the chat. We'll share it again. helped to keep City home. He's been a huge proponent for our defunding the police campaign and People's Budget. We also want to invite you to save the date for our first People's Budget Hangout community event. We're going to hold it in person, May 28th at 1 p.m. You can follow us at Move LB Forward on social media for up-to-date information. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. That's at Move LB Forward, or follow any of our partners whose information we put in the chat today. And then lastly, please, we implore you, join us in creating a city that is rooted in community care. We love one another. Let's show each other what this is about. Let's invest and be rooted in community care and not cops. So please do visit us at lbforward.org/peoplesbudget. Thanks, y'all.
All right, thank you, Jamilet and Melissa. Cool, so that's definitely super important, right? So I hope y'all got to take those screenshots, or also just check out the chat. I'm sure there's a lot of link that's on there as well. All right, y'all, so young people have been at the forefront throughout history. They have been organizing and fighting for the future that meets their most basic needs, like a roof over their head, a decent education, a healthy and thriving community. In these past 4 years, Long Beach youth members from the Invest in Youth Coalition has fought to make sure that their city's resources reflect the community that they deserve. So our next speaker is a youth organizer from Khmer Girls in Action named Shay. Pronouns are she, her, hers. So everyone, let's give it up for Shay.
Hello, everyone. Okay, hello, my name is Shay. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a youth organizer with Khmer Girls in Action and a senior at Poly High School. So basically, KGA gave me an opportunity to step out of my comfort zone and take more risk, such as being a part of an interview with one of our funders and phone banking with other youth members to mobilize voters to participate in a survey and turn out to the polls. I love organizations like KGA because it gives youth like myself an opportunity to be our full authentic selves while representing our communities and creating positive change. Who doesn't love that? We know that the majority of Long Beach youth and young adults through the ages of 5 to 24 years old are youth of color. And although young people live across the entire city of Long Beach, the majority of those between the ages of 5 to 17 live in Central, West, and North Long Beach, which are the areas with the highest rates of low-income households. These same communities have been disproportionately impacted by the global health crisis. As a young person, I know we are important in shaping the health and success of our city. Even through the pandemic and distance learning, we continue to amplify our voices and shape our city's budget to reflect the values and priorities of youth and their families. In the 2020 election, voters turned out to the polls in record numbers to help pass Measure US, where youth leaders advocated and secured new money for youth development, community health, and climate mitigation. The first ever Long Beach Youth Fund was created and will support the implementation of the Youth and Emerging Adult Strategic Plan that outlines 6 strategic goals. 1, to sustain and coordinate citywide youth development efforts. 2, support young people's physical, mental, and emotional health and wellness. 3, planning for the future to expand economic and social capital for youth. 4, community care to prioritize social connectedness and prevention and intervention efforts. 5, accessible housing and protections. And 6, safe and accessible transportation. Okay. So earlier this month, the Ron Arias Health Equity Center had its grand opening, which the new Office of Youth Development is housed in, where it is located at Houghton Park in North Long Beach. We are excited to have this space serve as an organized hub for the implementation of the plan and other youth-driven efforts. We are calling all of Long Beach youth from the ages of 16 to 26 to apply for a position on the new Youth Advisory Council. There is a stipend available for those who serve. As a part of the governance structure of the Office of Youth Development, a Youth Advisory Council was created to ensure authentic youth-led engagement in the design, oversight, and implementation of the plan, and support positive youth development efforts throughout the city of Long Beach. The Youth Advisory Council will be a youth-led advisory body housed in the Office of Youth Development and will consist of 11 youth from across Long Beach. So applications are now open and the deadline has been extended to May 13th. You can visit the link in the chat to apply tonight. Okay, so everything that I have shared is a part of the hard-won victories of the Invest in Youth campaign. Shout out to the Invest in Youth Coalition organization and its members. And if you're interested in joining our movement, please visit our website at www.investinyouth.lb.org. Thank you so much.
Yes, let's give it up for Shay, y'all. Young people care about their communities, and young voters make a critical difference in this upcoming election in choosing a future with a government or mayor that puts the health and well-being of people over corporations, that meets our most essential needs, and that recognizes that young people as central to our collective future. So our next speaker tonight, name is Pallavi. Pallavi goes by she, her pronouns, and she's a junior at Poly High School and a youth organizer with Khmer Girls in Action. So let's give it up for Pallavi, y'all.
Hello, my name is Pallavi. I go by she, hers, and I'm a youth organizer with KGA. KGA is a grassroots community organization that believes in putting the power in the hands of youth by giving us the opportunity to use our voices for social change. Through its involvement with local elections and campaigns such as Every Student Matters, Youth at the Core, and Invest in Youth, KGA has been effective in preparing youth to become future leaders and organizers. As a youth organizer, I have participated in voter registration drives, and recently, we've registered and pre-registered 28 Cambodian members to vote during this year's Khmer New Year Parade. All in all, KGA aims to foster an environment where we work in solidarity with each other, where youth are at the forefront of change and can make a difference in our communities by encouraging others to take action and vote. According to PDI Voters Database, as of 2020, there are a total of 12,893 registered voters of color in Long Beach from the ages of 18 to 24. But there is a population of over 30,000 of these young people of color residing in Long Beach, according to the newest census data. This means more than 17,000 of young voters' voices are left out in the decision-making process, and others are making decisions for us. This is why we're calling on you all who are eligible to vote to register to vote with us today. Now, let's find out who's eligible to vote. Put a heart in the chat if you are 16 and over. Yes, 16 and over. California passed a law in 2017 that allows youth 16 and over to pre-register to vote. And once they turn the voting age of 18, they will be automatically registered. Okay, now put a happy face in the chat if you are 18 and over. Remember, in order to register to vote, you also need to be a US citizen. And if you live in California, you must be registered in California. If you are system impacted and you're not currently serving time in state, federal, or county for a federal crime, your voting rights have been restored. All you have to do is re-register. Not all states pass this law, so let's turn up together and make some electoral changes. To register to vote, take a picture of our QR code on the screen. A link will pop up where you can fill out your information and register to vote. Now, we know that we are a month away from California's primary election, starting the moment ballots drop in the mail on May 9th up until the last day to vote on June 7th, 2022. Voting gives us the power to shape laws, policy, and representatives that align with our community values and needs. In this year's elections, voters will determine who will be our next governor in California, mayor of Long Beach, council members in odd districts in Long Beach, city auditor, city prosecutor, and more. Our vote is our power. Right now, we can make decisions that determine the future of our city and state. We have the power to choose what kind of Long Beach we want to live in. On the week of May 2nd, all registered voters will receive a sample ballot in the mail. This will help you study up who you plan to vote for. Then, the week of May 9th, all voters will receive their official vote by mail ballot. That's right, all voters are now vote by mail. You will have 3 options on how you can return your ballot: voting by mail, voting by drop box, and voting at a vote center. Don't forget to sign, date, seal your envelope, and write your address in the red box on the back of the envelope and mail or drop it off no later than Election Day, June 7th. Early vote centers will open 15 days before June 7th all across the city. Be sure to visit lavote.net to find your nearest vote centers. Or you can stop by Long Beach Forward on June 5th to cast your vote at your local community organization. The address is 425 Atlantic Avenue, Long Beach, California, 90802. Our power is our vote. So flex your power and make a plan to vote today. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Pallavi. Awesome job. Thank you so much, everyone. So remember, again, just like what Pallavi said, you got to register. If you can't register, you can't vote. So make sure you register to vote. Also, y'all should be receiving your ballots soon, right? Your sample ballot next week. So be on the lookout for that in the mail, y'all. So thank you so much for our speakers. So earlier this evening, we introduced y'all to Jose Loza and the amazing series and that he created for our event. So this park is a symbol of collaboration and advocacy represented by all of these different groups. The people state of the city and communities are like vibrant parks with blooming gardens full of life, ideas, plans, actions for a better tomorrow. So this is Jose's work. So isn't it beautiful, y'all? And then Jose couldn't be with us tonight, but we definitely love and appreciate the artwork that he shared with us. So thank you so much. Okay, y'all, so we are definitely at that time. Thank you so much for all of our guests who joined us tonight for our annual People State of the City event. Thank you to all of our speakers for opening up, being brave, and sharing with us the powerful stories. Thank you again to all of those who made this year's People State of the City event possible. Long Beach Area Peace Network, the California Faculty Association, Long Beach Chapter, Khmer Girls in Action, Long Beach Forward, Long Beach Resident Empowered, the Long Beach Coalition, Long Beach Gray Panthers, and a special thanks to the Long Beach Immigrants' Right Coalition for also being with us here with us tonight. So Long Beach is definitely representing y'all. And as a Los Angeles Alliance for New Economy for Long Beach Rising Coalition, thank you for folks from the Los Angeles Alliance for New Economy for Long Beach Rising Coalition for helping to organize such an important event. Voting, y'all, is super key, right, in power building, but election alone will not solve our issues. We know voter suppression is super real because so many of our communities are still marginalized by the voting process. Whether you are a young person, an immigrant, undocumented, or system impacted, y'all have actually helped shape and organize our communities to be at where we are today, even if y'all can't vote. So marginalized communities continue to organize and mobilize for our communities so that we are creating and protecting resources for our people to succeed and thrive. Our movement rises when we move together with a collective vision and mobilization that we want for our people. So get out to vote, get involved, volunteer with us, participate in a survey, or step outside your comfort zone. Because with community, we will help you address the fears. With community, we will help create resources and win. All of these amazing organizers that spoke here today has all been a part of that. So we invite our communities to also participate. So, and then, yeah, so feel free to write y'all's organization in the chat so that way community members can know how to get involved. Lastly, I definitely want to reintroduce Melissa Morgan to close us off with an upcoming event that we want to invite y'all to. So give it up to Melissa.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, so some exciting news, as you'll see on the screen. we've got a really busy weekend already kicking off today. We're glad we had over 100 some odd folks here with us on Zoom today. Folks are watching us online. We invite you to come party with us in person at Rooted in Community. It's our spring celebration. It'll be this Saturday, April 30th, 4 p.m. at Trademark Brewing here in Long Beach. And some fun things. There will be a free drink ticket for every attendee. The event is family and dog friendly. Come early, get some good street parking, or get dropped off, ride the bus. You can RSVP at lbforward.org/rooted. And we invite you to sign up for our email list for updates at lbforward.org. You can sign up there and we'll be sure to give you an update and a follow-up from today's event. And last but not least, I want to give out some virtual flowers, particularly to our youth speakers tonight. They rocked the house. There were so many amazing chat, kudos, and celebrations. Thank you to our young adults who are here tonight. You are inspiration to all of us. We need to do more of that. Listen to you all more often. And then I want to give out some virtual flowers to you, Amy. Thank you so much for the beautiful way that you walked us through this experience tonight. Help us to feel connected because we can't be in person all the time. So we thank you, Amy, for your commitment, all your incredible work you do for the community. So we give you your flowers, and I'm going to pass it back to you one more time for closing thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you to all our speakers, and definitely, yeah, shout out to our youth, our elders. You know, organizing is an intergenerational work, and it's the commitment that we make to show up for each other, whether it's also attending the event, right? So definitely appreciate that. But again, I don't want to take up too much of your time, y'all's time. But thank you again for joining Community Orgs. Feel free to drop your social media, your handles, your website on the chat, so we can continue to stay involved. And if y'all want to get involved with Long Beach Forward, feel free to message Melissa on the chat, and then we can do a follow-up email. But that's it, y'all. It's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining our People State of the City event, 11th annual. Y'all have a good night.